Okay, so I've recently stumbled into the hobby of reading. Like, I wouldn't say stumbled, made an active effort to become a reader on so many occasions, and just recently is when it became a thing. It just recently stuck. But with that being such a recent occurrence, I am in a bit of a hurry to expand my horizon in regards to authors and genre. And one of my mom's favorite authors, dad's favorite authors, and YouTubers' favorite authors is Stephen King. So I obviously had to pick him up. And to give a fair judgment of the author as a whole, I read not one book, but four. So we are going to talk about each book individually, one at a time, in the order that I read them. Starting with The Gunslinger. Now, this is a very common starting place with Stephen King, I believe. Like, the amount of people I hear about this being their first book, YouTubers that I've watched, people that I've talked to, is kind of insane, and they say it's just the perfect way to get into the author. And to be fair, it is short. Unfortunately, I thought this book was kind of bad. I'm sorry, this is a bit of a bummer to start out on, but I thought I thought it was cheeks. Genuinely, I didn't have that much fun reading this. I mean, there was writing that stuck out on this, jumping right ahead to the end. The man in blacks, the dark man, I don't remember, his description of infinity, the way everything was simply being laid out and described, I thought was beautiful, and it absolutely gave me hope to extend interest into Stephen King. But damn, was the rest of this book not enjoyable for me. I mean, it's so overly sexual for some reason. I don't know if that is important later in the book, but as a standalone, as a first introduction, it is weird. Like, it's so pointless. Like, there's a random thing with like a succubus, like, just halfway through this book that I don't know did anything. Like, I don't know. I just didn't think it was good. Like, it felt so weird. And it could be important, it could not, but at the current state of what I've read, it was dumb. It was goofy. It took you out of the story, like, aggressively. And yeah, I just simply didn't think that book was good. But so many people were like, this is a magnum opus achievement. Like, you just got to read the whole series. And then some people are like, you gotta give it to like the fourth book or whatever. And I'm not someone who believes in stuff like that. Like, if you can't hook a reader, that's on you. But I wanted to give the benefit of the doubt so bad. I read the second book too. And it was an improvement in every way possible. I thought it was more interesting. The concept of the doors in the desert was fun. It was cool. I thought certain characters were exceptionally vulgar to an extent I didn't enjoy, and I don't mean that in a way that it's bad. I mean that in a way that I don't like reading. Like, it has nothing to do with what was written about that creates an issue. It's simply not to my taste, which is kind of, I believe, going to be a theme with Stephen King. But I thought this book was good. I thought it was an improvement. It expanded upon the series. And I even immediately after this jumped into the third book, and I DNF'd it, so I'm not counting it towards this list. I read about 100 pages, so I didn't quite finish the first chapter. It's like a 114-page chapter or something ridiculous, right? Like, that's an insane first chapter if we're not kidding ourselves. But I don't know. I think I could give this book, not this book, but this series, another attempt in the future, but it won't be soon. It will not be, but I do think it's something I could consider attempting again. I mean, I hear so much. It's so hard for me to hear everything I do about this series and not want to give it everything that I can, but we're not there yet. And I simply did not think that I could make a Stephen King video without attempting what many consider to be one of his greatest works. So immediately after that, I picked up my first 1,000-page book, The Stand by Stephen King. And I have a single annotation in here. I don't know what this is for. Oh, it's just to show some of the dense ass pages that this dude like to randomly toss in here. Like, don't just be fooled about the 1,200 pages. Like, it's a dense 1,200 pages. Yeah, this book was better than the drawing of the three. The drawing of the three. Unfortunately for the Stephen King fans, I thought this book was all right. Um, the biggest thing for me is just the expectations I had going into this. It's my mom's favorite book. It's my grandma's favorite book. It's my favorite book YouTuber's favorite book. But reality will usually fall at the feet of great expectation, and that is exactly what happened here. It was so big. It was so grand. The page count was so big. Like, there was nothing in my brain that told me this couldn't be, the greatest freaking book ever written, and it wasn't. And that was really disappointing because when I started this book, I was reading it religiously. Like 150 pages a day for me is huge, and I achieved that multiple times while reading this book. And it was so incredible. It had the greatest cold open that I've read in a book. I'd say the first 4, 5, maybe even 600, 700 pages are the greatest that I've read. Like, they were just so incredible and so fun. Not the world building, but the story development was just so intriguing. You wanted so bad to know how these characters were going to meet, how everything was going to unfold. He set it up so big, and then it got a little worse and a little worse, and a trickle, all crescendoing into this absolute dry fart of an ending. The ending was awful. It was so bad. It was so unthought out. It seemed like he got to page 800 and was just like, fuck, the book isn't over yet. You know what I mean? Like, that, it just didn't end well. And it ruined so much because the first of the book was so good that it just lets down everything so bad. So bad. It is a really crappy ending. And I mean the climax of the ending, because there's like an ending after the ending, like a string of events that made me really happy. It followed like one of my favorite characters, and I actually quite enjoyed that. And it did help to end on a good note to some extent. And with this cover, it seems so exciting. It's a fight against good and evil. It's a grand tale of, redemption and religion, and just a masterclass of character building. You're intrigued in even the most unlikable characters. Like, if that's not a setup for a great book, I don't know what is. But it simply didn't deliver at the end of it. I had such expectations of where this story would go, and it was just not as epic as I was hoping it would end up. And the last book, I certainly just couldn't make a video about Stephen King without a horror book. It simply wouldn't be fair. Salem's Lot. Don't ask why it doesn't have a cover. I don't fucking know. This is an old book. This is my shining light for Stephen King. My ray of hope. This book is incredibly simple. It's incredibly enjoyable. It's a small town vampire horror story done to perfection. It's good. It's a very good book. It was horror, which is probably the first horror book that I've ever read, and I thought it was great. It made me so happy that he didn't attempt to reinvent the wheel. He chose a story that's been told, and he told it to the best of his ability, and I loved that. Was it scary? No. There wasn't a moment in this where, shivers were sent down my spine. None of that. But I found it incredibly fun. I didn't really know how I was going to react to horror literature if I've never read it, and I didn't react strongly. But to be fair to the horror of this book, I read this over the course of like a month because I was reading War and Peace simultaneously and simply got distracted in regards to actually finishing this book in the timely manner that I usually would for a page count of 400. Like, this is usually a 4-day read for me. So reading it in a month is a little unfair, but I very much enjoyed that book, and I really think I will be pursuing other Stephen King in the future. Ironically enough, Salem's Lot really makes me want to read Under the Dome. It really feels like he could capture a sort of cozy claustrophobia that I feel like that book would cause. Like, I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but it really makes me want to read that. Everyone says if they don't think it's The Stand or It, they think 11/22/63 is his best work, and it would be by far the most recent of his that I've read, so it makes me want to read that. So yeah, Salem's Lot really saved a lot for me at the end there. And if you guys want a part 2, I will update with some other books. Let me know what books those should be. And yeah, thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.